Good afternoon. Peel Regional Police is searching for at least one suspect following a deadly shooting outside of Brampton Mall last night.
A 25-year-old man was shot and killed in his vehicle in the parking lot of the Shoppers World Mall. CTV's John Musselman has been following the investigation. He joins us live now with more. John.
Well, Michelle, as you mentioned, this is a very busy parking lot, and shots rang out here last night around 7 o'clock. We'll just show you some video. Again, police called to the parking lot at Shopping World, and when they arrived, they found a victim inside a vehicle. They had to smash the rear window and pull that victim out of the car, and when they did, they realized that he was suffering from gunshot wounds. Now, they performed CPR, emergency crews, but the victim did not survive this shooting. Peel Police did seal off a large section of this parking lot during the investigation, and they are back here again this morning gathering evidence, canvassing local businesses here for any surveillance video and any potential witnesses. We did have a chance to speak to Peel Regional Police last night. We also spoke to some residents in this area today to get their reaction to this gun violence at 7 o'clock at night in a very busy parking lot.
The suspect or the suspects had already fled prior to police arrival, and at this point our Homicide Bureau has taken care of this investigation, and we're urging anyone who may have any information, video footage, who may have been in the area and saw something to please contact our Homicide Bureau investigators.
It's shocking, but given the way the neighborhood has changed in the 44 years I've lived here, I'm not surprised. It's getting really scary.
And Nathan and Michelle, another thing to keep in mind is last Thursday, just last week, about one street west of this location, an 18-year-old was stabbed in a targeted attack in a building. Police are saying this also was a targeted shooting. We don't know yet if there's any connection between the cases. Reporting live in Brampton, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back inside to you.
Thank you, John. And still to come on CTV News at noon, Air Transat is bracing for a potential pilot strike. We'll have more on the steps the airline is taking a little later in the newscast.
But first, a 64-year-old man is dead after he was hit by a dump truck in Whitchurch, Stouffville early this morning. York Regional Police say the man was struck on Bloomington Road between Kennedy and Warden just after 4 a.m. He died at the scene. York Regional Police's Major Collision Bureau has taken over the investigation.
Meanwhile, a woman has been taken to hospital after being struck by a vehicle. It happened just after 7:40 this morning on Shepherd Avenue, just east of Yonge. The woman was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police have not provided any details about the circumstances leading up to this woman being struck.
And a car collided with a pole on Bayview north of Shepherd just after 2 a.m. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. No injuries were reported.
The province is investing $20 million to install concrete barriers at child care centres across the province.
However, it appears that the money will not be used to reimburse centres that have already implemented additional safety measures. CTV's Spencer Turcotte has the details.
A driver crashed through the window of a Richmond Hill daycare in September. Multiple children and adults were hurt. A 17-month-old boy killed. The provincial government took steps to prevent anything like this from happening again.
In Liam's honor, we are investing $20 million to launch the Liam Riazadi Memorial Fund.
Immediately after the crash, Education Minister Paul Colandra ordered daycare operators to close parking spaces in front of vulnerable doors and windows. The director at St. John's Christian Nursery School in Waterloo wasted no time.
Our playground is very vulnerable, being in the middle of a parking lot.
The program will have child care centers apply in the new year to get access to temporary concrete barriers from a pre-approved vendor.
Community-based child care operators will be able to access a simple application process that will make it easy for them to arrange the delivery and installation of the barriers that will be supplied free of charge.
But what about daycare operators like St. John's Nursery School who installed barriers right away?
It ended up costing us $15,000. Kind of wondering if there will be some funding for us. Is the barrier that we put in, is that okay? Is an allowable one?
In a memo to daycare operators from the province obtained by CTV News, it seems like they may be out of luck, at least for now. The initiative is focused on centers that have not yet been able to install safety barriers, the memo reads in part, and for centers that already have safety barriers in place, related expenses will not be reimbursed.
$20 million really is a start. we wanted to be able to get out there and look at those locations that had the most pressing needs.
This has been portrayed as a temporary fix. The government is open to adding more funding while they look at other options that may be more permanent, like bollards. But at St. John's Nursery School, the concrete slabs seem to be working.
We actually have had a few cars actually hit, not on an impact, but they've kind of come into the parking lot a little bit fast and have hit the barrier. So it does show that added protection.
Provincial consultations on the concrete barriers are expected to take a few months with legislation to follow. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Waterloo.
New numbers from rentals.ca and Urban Nation indicate the cost of rent is dropping in the GTA and across the country.
The rental market's going through a really interesting period of uncertainty here, right? Especially in the short term. Demand has really pulled back due to flattening population growth. And of course, with this economic uncertainty that's happening right now, people have less money to spend on new premium rentals or what these new rental prices are being asked for, especially when they're going on sites like rentals.ca. And when you couple that with all this new supply coming to the market, you get rents coming down as they have been doing so for a few years right now. You know, Toronto rents right now are actually the lowest they've been since May of 2022.
The latest numbers show a 3.1% drop in rent nationally, down to just over $2,000. All 6 major markets saw a decline, with the biggest drops in Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia. Toronto remains the 4th most expensive city for renters, with the average cost for a 1-bedroom unit at just over $2,200 a month.
Royal LePage is predicting an increase in home prices next year, suggesting the market is primed for a reset, with more buyers due to make moves.
The volume of homes trading hands acts as a crystal ball. We've seen very small incremental increases in the number of houses trading hands in the GTA and Southern Ontario through the second half of 2025. And we believe that will gradually begin to build prices. But it won't happen in time to actually show a price increase in the Greater Toronto area.
The national aggregate home price is expected to increase by 1% annually to around $823,000 in the 4th quarter of 2026. Prices are due to rise in most major markets, with the exception of Toronto and Vancouver. The projections come amid significant economic and political uncertainty, including the ongoing trade war with the U.S.
Toronto has retained the infamous honor of being Canada's rattiest city.
There's always health hazards with, especially when rats get into any food-related areas. They're crawling through the dirtiest, grimiest areas, picking up bacteria, and then crawling across food prep surfaces, contaminating food areas, their droppings, urine as they're going along. So there's a definite health hazard to that. But also, as a rodent, they're continually gnawing. They like to chew on things all the time, so they will do property damage. But along with that can be wires, whether it's in a wall void or in an attic area. And if they're chewing on wires, that can be a fire hazard, obviously.
Orkin Canada says the ranking's based on the number of calls it received to treat issues with rodents, including both rats and mice, at homes and businesses. Mississauga ranked as Canada's 6th rattiest city, with Ottawa ranking 8th. The Mayor's Executive Committee is meeting at City Hall today, and several items are on the agenda.
One of the major topics is the Mayor's proposed increase to Toronto's luxury home tax. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live from City Hall this hour with the details. Natalie.
I'm Michelle. Well, as expected, this sailed through the Executive Committee taking place here in the Chamber here today. The Mayor's Inner Circle giving the green light to an increase to the so-called luxury home tax. Say an increase to the municipal land transfer tax levied on homes valued of more than $3 million. Now, this would incrementally increase that tax on homes of $3 million and more, 4.4% for $3 million homes, up to 8.6% for homes valued more than $20 million. Now, the Mayor's argument is that raising this tax asks the wealthiest people in the city to pay more to help fund the services that support those in need. But the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board is now asking the Premier to intervene, saying that this increase to the land transfer tax, which would be the 3rd time in the last 8 years, would hurt Toronto's housing market by suppressing market mobility.
It upsets the overall housing continuum. So imagine you're a household that say maybe selling a $1.5 or $2 million home. They built up equity, and so now they want to move into that $3 million bracket. Faced with that increased upfront tax, they may instead choose to renovate the home they're already in. And so now it doesn't get listed for sale. They're in it for another number of years after making that investment. And then it also changes the stock forever. So what might have been a viable move-up opportunity for a household, now has say a $500,000 renovation on it, and so it's not the same house, and so you're also upsetting that sort of continuum where people can move, say, from a condo into a semi, into a smaller detached, into a larger house.
These are the wealthiest 2% of luxuries properties buyers. When you can afford a home that's $5, $10, $20 million, I've seen homes that are $34 million. You can pay a bit more. It doesn't impact on 98% of the people buying homes.
An improvement every year. Now, this proposal does still need to be approved by full council as part of the 2026 budget process. If approved, this increase to the municipal land transfer tax on homes valued more than $3 million would take effect on April 1st. Reporting live at City Hall, I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. More news in a moment, but first, let's take a moment to have a look at the weather forecast. Beautiful shot there of Nathan Phillips Square. People enjoying the ice, and there's plenty of cool temps to keep it nice and hard down there. And we also have some snow that's going to be sprinkling down. We are anticipating enough that could impact the drive this afternoon and evening. Lindsay Morrison, what do we need to know?
Well, Michelle, we're in for a bit of a 1-2 punch. First round of snow moves in for this afternoon, and yes, likely to impact the drive home. And then a second round of snow moves in overnight and for tomorrow, likely to impact your Wednesday morning drive. Here's a look at the current satellite and radar. The snow might not be quite as far east as it looks right now on this radar imagery, but we are awaiting flakes in the west end of the GTA and eventually sliding its way eastward as the day goes on. It's windy today. We've had gusts upwards of 30 kilometers per hour around the greater Toronto area. It's still cool, -3 degrees this hour, feels more like -8 at Pearson Airport. Forecasting an afternoon high near 0. And again, the snow is going to start to fly through the afternoon. There's round 1 and this is round 2. So we'll give you an idea of how much snow could fall total coming up. But for now, Michelle, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, turbulence on the travel front as Air Transat passengers brace for a possible pilot strike.
The airline could suspend all its flights by the end of the day as it braces for a walkout as early as tomorrow morning. CTV's Raheem Ladani joins us live now from Terminal 3 at Pearson Airport with more details. Raheem.
Hey, Nathan and Michelle. There's more of a quiet chaos happening here right now in front of the Air Transat check-in terminal. We aren't seeing a lot of passengers show up and say, oh no, my flight is canceled, because Air Transat canceled, as you mentioned, 6 flights earlier today. But we are seeing something very different, which is still showing a lot of the disruptions which passengers are facing. We heard yesterday that Air Transat was contacting a lot of passengers who are in the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, Cancun, telling them we are flying you back early to avoid any potential disruptions. Well, they did that, and we spoke with 3 girls who, when they came, excuse me, not 3 girls, 3 women who came, and they were flying from Punta Cana, hopefully to Montreal on Wednesday. But Air Transat contacted them and said, from Punta Cana, come to Toronto, and then connect from Toronto to Montreal on Monday. They arrived at Toronto's Pearson International on Monday, but when they got here, their Porter connection had already left. So Air Transat then put them in a hotel on Monday night. They came back to the airport today to find out that their connection isn't until midnight. So they've now been scrambling with their travel agent to try to get back to Montreal. So their flight was cut short, and now they can't get back home to Montreal. So this is one of the realities which is affecting a lot of people. Here's more from them.
But it's a lot of wrong information. It's everything. It's so crazy yesterday, and at what time you come here, nobody, everything is closed. Nobody to help us. It's so crazy.
Talk about the contract. So let's talk about the contract negotiations right now. What we're told is that both sides are still at the bargaining table and that the airline has put forward a new offer, a 59 to 60% increase. What the airline says is that the pilots would see an increase of more than $100,000 by the time the 5-year contract is up. The airline says this is very generous and up to industry standards. The last we've heard from the union, which represents 750 pilots of Air Transat, is that they want job security, better benefits, and better pay. So the good news is they are still at the bargaining table, but as we've seen with other labor disputes in the past, whether it's with WestJet or Air Canada, the closer you get to a potential walk-off, the more flights that need to be canceled. And then, even if a strike only lasts a day or two, it takes time for an airline to then ramp up. So this by no means is not over, especially for the passengers who are hoping to travel and get to somewhere sunny. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Raheem. Well, the FBI released a new photo of Ryan Wedding, the former Canadian Olympian accused of being an international drug kingpin. The FBI says this photo was taken somewhere in Mexico this summer. Wedding is believed to be hiding in the country with the support of the Sinaloa cartel. He's accused of running a multi-billion-dollar drug empire and is one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. Wedding is also accused of orchestrating multiple murders, including killings in Canada. The Bureau is offering a $15 million reward for information leading to his arrest.
The federal Liberals are set to introduce legislation today which aims to provide more protections for children and address gender-based violence. In their spring election platform, the party promised to crack down on sexual violence and intimate partner violence. They pledged to make hate-motivated murders like femicide a first-degree offense, as well as increase penalties for distributing intimate images without consent, and make it a criminal offense to distribute non-consensual sexual deepfakes. The Liberals also promised measures to protect children from online exploitation and sexual extortion.
A meeting of G7 industry, digital, and technology ministers is set to wrap up in Montreal today with new agreements with Europe.
It is a collaboration on digital sovereignty, which is the singularly most significant geopolitical issue facing us in this area.
The deals include an agreement with Germany to increase collaboration on artificial intelligence, quantum technology, and infrastructure. Canada has also signed 2 agreements with the European Union, one focused on responsible development of AI and the other on cooperation on digital credentials.
Meanwhile, the federal government has signed a partnership with 2 Canadian companies aimed at protecting our north.
The Arctic is transforming at an unprecedented speed. Melting ice is opening new waters and attracting new activity. For Canada, this is not a distant concern anymore. It's a direct challenge to our sovereignty and to our security.
Telesat and MDA Space will develop military satellite communications for the Canadian Armed Forces in the Arctic. Ottawa says the military currently has limited options in the region, and most are commercial rather than military networks. A contract worth $2.92 million has been awarded to Telesat in partnership with MDA Space for engineering and analysis.
U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening to impose new tariffs on Canadian fertilizer.
A lot of it does come in from Canada, and so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to.
The U.S. is Canada's largest fertilizer market and accounts for more than half of the country's fertilizer exports. In 2017, annual reports range from $3.2 billion to $4.5 billion. Potash exports make up the majority of that total.
Meanwhile, Trump is facing questions over whether his son-in-law, Jared Kushner's involvement in Paramount's bid to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery would influence his decision on the matter.
I've never spoken to him about it. He's really trying to work on Gaza. I think Gaza's his primary thing is Gaza.
Yesterday, Paramount launched a hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Some analysts have suggested the company's bid could be better received by Trump than a bid from Netflix due to Kushner's involvement and Trump's friendship with Larry Ellison, the father of Paramount Skydance chair and CEO David Ellison.
The politics of pipelines is dominating discussion on Parliament Hill today, as the Conservatives have put forward a motion calling on the Liberals to support pipeline deals. CTV's Colton Prale has been following this story and joins us now live from Ottawa with more. Colton, what can you tell us about the motion and what is the House being done or being asked to vote on?
Yeah, Nathan, this is a non-binding motion put forward by Pierre Poilievre this morning that largely says, do you support the MOU that the Premier and the Prime Minister signed together? Do you support the MOU calling for a pipeline from Alberta to the BC coast? And what's interesting is Pierre Poilievre took verbiage directly out of the MOU and used that as the wording of his motion that he was putting forward. And it was really designed to create an opportunity where the Liberals would be forced to say whether or not they support a pipeline. And what's unique about this is that we know there has been some back and forth inside caucus. We know there's been division. Take Stephen Guilbeault, for example. He resigned as a cabinet minister. He's still an MP, but he said he's against the pipeline. He doesn't think it's going to get built. There are others in that caucus who also don't support it, but who have been a little more quiet behind the scenes. That's the setting for this. And so this motion was intended to show those divisions. But what you saw instead were Liberals saying, well, hold on. The text of this motion excludes a number of things. It doesn't include the agreement to agree or to renegotiate an industrial carbon pricing system in Alberta. It doesn't include the methane emissions changes, or it doesn't include carbon capture and storage changes. It doesn't go far enough with a duty to consult First Nations and ensure they have ownership of the project. And it doesn't include consultations with BC. And so because of all of those things, it is not representative of the entire MOU. And so they told us on background they would be voting against this motion. They held a press conference just this morning. Here's the energy minister sparing no words to say how he views this motion from Pierre Poilievre. Have a listen.
This is a comprehensive agreement. It's agreement that the people of Alberta and the Premier of Alberta believes in. Canadians see the motion that's before us today for what it is. It's a cynical ploy to divide us. It's a cheap political stunt.
So just moments ago, Pierre Poilievre said, okay, if that's what's stopping you from voting for this, don't worry about it. He stood up in the House of Commons, he amended the motion, and he included the duty to consult British Columbia and the ability to have First Nations ownership. And he included the carbon capture and storage pathways project that is involved in this as well. But crucially, he did not include an industrial carbon pricing system. And that is key for the Liberals. And so the big question now is, will the party still vote against it? I think it's certainly likely, given how much they have centered their climate strategy around industrial carbon pricing systems and strengthening that system. But it also gives Pierre Poilievre the opportunity that he was looking for to say, look how far I've gone, look how much I've done to give you the opportunity to say you support a pipeline, and you still won't say you do it. It's a lot of saber rattling on the Hill at this point in time, Nathan. It's not a lot of binding politics. The motion itself is non-binding, but very much this is all about optics and social media videos.
For sure, and political drama. So this memorandum of understanding has already faced some political backlash from within the Liberal Party. So what could this vote mean for the government itself?
For government, this would be more interesting if that industrial carbon pricing system was included in the amendments. If it was, it would present a real opportunity for this Liberal Party to say where they stand on this. If it was the full text of the MOU, would you have to whip the vote? Were the BMPs that are absent from the voting process? That part would have given us a little more insight into where the divisions lie. But for the public, looking outside of this, it's likely you're still going to see the entire Liberal Party vote against this, using that industrial carbon pricing system omission as the reason for doing so. And so for them, it's an opportunity for them to say this is the other team playing politics or playing dirty, and certainly you've seen that from the Liberals throughout the morning. They're also cautioning that this could have a negative impact on a private proponent who might look at this and question just how sincere all of the Canadian government is about getting a pipeline built. I think that's a little less strong of an argument, but certainly by excluding the industrial carbon pricing of in all of this, the Conservatives have really given the other side an opportunity to avoid the kind of scrutiny that they are trying to force upon them.
All right, CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
Microsoft announced its biggest ever investment in Canada with $7.5 billion over the next 2 years. The tech company says that will bring its total investment in Canada to $19 billion between 2023 and 2027. Much of the money will go towards a new artificial intelligence projects. The company says it's also launching a 5-point plan to promote and protect Canada's digital sovereignty. Lindsay.
So we do have 2 systems that are going to bring us snow over the next little bit here. The second one likely to pack a bit more of a punch, but let's talk about this afternoon. This is when the snow begins. Light in nature through the afternoon and a bit scattered. So we're not going to see the snow pile up, but again, a couple of centimeters is possible as we make our way through the afternoon and early evening tonight. So there's about 2 centimeters. Into tomorrow, an additional, perhaps slushy 5 centimeters of snow could fall. Might be a little less the closer you are to the shoreline of Lake Ontario, thanks to some rain mixing in. And then lake effect snow impacts areas well to our west. We're going to take you through a detailed look at the forecast. Yeah, it's going to be a snowy midweek. All you need to know is after this break here on CTV News at noon.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
What if there were a guaranteed way to get on Santa's nice list? Second Harvest, in their mission to tackle hunger and end food waste, are asking Canadians to start a new tradition this year, and it will put you in good standing with Santa. Here to explain is CEO Lori Nickel, who joins us live now from what I assume is the Second Harvest warehouse. Lori, great to see you. Kids on Christmas Eve, they love to put out milk and cookies for Santa, maybe a carrot for the reindeer, but you and the team are hoping families will opt for something else this year. Help us understand what the plan is.
Well, you know, Santa gets lots of milk and cookies, so much that I think he can share. And he's also said he'd love to share them. So how do we get more milk, cookies, and other healthy foods out to Torontonians that need this food this holiday season, so they're feeling cared about? Because Santa's like a super generous, great guy, and he just wants to make sure everybody gets what they need this holiday season.
So there's a letter from Santa. I don't know if we have it here, asking folks to, instead of putting milk and cookies out, what would you like for people to do?
We'd love them to support Torontonians with food from Second Harvest. So instead of, giving Frosty that carrot, we could take that carrot and give it to one of the almost 1 million people in our city that need food. So let's start a new tradition and help our fellow citizens with some great healthy food this holiday.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the images from an ad campaign that folks are going to see popping up across our city. And let's be honest, when the kids, at least my kids, you put out the milk and cookies, and in the morning, definitely, since Santa's going all over the planet, he leaves some. And there is some food waste there. Can we talk about food waste in our community and how your team at Second Harvest are hoping to ensure that good food gets to people who need it?
100%. So everything we do here is surplus food because we know almost 50% of all the food produced for us is lost or wasted. So we can do lots of things at home this holiday, and including shopping on a budget, which everybody is right now, making sure you're only buying what you need. And then freezing everything that you don't eat so you can eat it later on, because we don't want to waste any food. And then across the entire supply chain, we're working with farmers and manufacturers and food service and retailers to get all their surplus food so that we can redirect it to so many families and so many children and adults that actually really, really need food this holiday and all year.
Definitely, and no one knows about the need better than you and your team and all the network of food banks right across the GTA. What's the need this year?
It's spiking. I feel like every year we say there's more, but again, there is more. There is such a critical need for food. It's not the same people. We are still in an affordability crisis, and we all know that food went up again. Every month it's going up, or it has been going up. It came down a tiny bit, but it's just unaffordable to get the basics that you need, and that's many people struggling. So in Toronto alone, we're feeding almost 800,000 people.
That is
at shelters, food banks, everywhere.
It's a staggering number, and it is surprising oftentimes. These are people who have jobs, maybe more than one job, and they still struggle to put food on the table. Well, people are watching right now. We're going into the holiday season, and it definitely feels good to give. What can we do?
We'd love you to support Second Harvest. So if you can donate, anything helps. If you can go to Second Harvest to our donation page, we would love that. If you are a food business and you have extra food, please join the Second Harvest Food Rescue app or if you're a farmer or a manufacturer, anywhere that you have extra food, and often businesses do at the end of the year when they're doing inventory, please direct it to Second Harvest. And also, if you're ever looking to volunteer, come to Second Harvest. We'd love to have you.
CEO of Second Harvest, Lori Nickel, thanks so much for taking the time with us, and good luck with this campaign. It's real clever.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Have a great day.
Take care. You too.
All right, it is the season of giving, and it seems like Mother Nature is going to give us some snow.
It's given us all things winter, although technically winter is what, the 21st this year?
Yeah, I mean, on the calendar, we still have a little ways to go, but it has been very much feeling and looking like the winter season, and it will again this afternoon and into the evening in the form of snow this time. We had the cold to kick off the week. Now the temperature is going to hold steady at about the freezing mark for a high today and through the overnight tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to become a little bit mild, but that changes snow potentially to rain. Weather is brought to you by the Pressler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. We started off the day today with a little bit of sunshine. This was nice to see. Beautiful sunrise over the GTA. A bit of sun lingering into the early morning hours, and then, yeah, the cloud began to take over, and now we're starting to see a bit of snow making its way into, at the very least, the west end of the GTA. Some of this cloud is appearing as snow on the satellite and radar. Here's what that looks like as it makes its way eastward. Plan on it being a snowy afternoon for us here, and if you have to be out commuting this evening, just keep in mind that this weather is likely to impact your drive. We know it doesn't take a lot of snow here in the city of Toronto to snarl traffic, so prepare for that being a possibility. This disturbance is not quite as organized. The snow won't be quite as widespread or heavy, but the second low that's going to move in, this is overnight tonight and through the day tomorrow, that one could pack a little more of a punch. So let's break down the timing for you. Just going to pause this around 5 p.m. to show you as many are out on the roads. We are likely to be dealing with snow around the Golden Horseshoe areas north into Barrie and north of there as well, and then extending east toward the Ottawa Valley. By the evening and mid to late evening, we get a little bit of a break, still likely to see some flurries flying. Second round of snow to begin with is going to move in overnight, impacting your Wednesday morning drive. As we make our way through the morning, you can see that mixing line. Some areas are going to change over to some rain. That's especially true around St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, but might happen for the west end of the GTA and perhaps downtown Toronto as well. If we don't switch over to rain, this is going to be a heavy, wet snow, maybe about 5 centimeters of it for us here locally. And then behind that system, very strong northwesterly winds. Those will be cold winds once again and could lead to some lake effect snow bands. So first round of snow for this afternoon, about 2 centimeters. Next round, maybe 4 to 5 centimeters of snow, and then watch the communities again in the traditional snow belt areas picking up even more snow through the day on Thursday. Temperature wise, it is -3 degrees right now. Again, we're forecasting a daytime high of about 0. Might take us a few hours to get there, but 0 is what we expect through the evening hours tonight. Again, the snow does taper off as the evening goes on, but don't get too used to that because the next round moves through overnight. Our temperature overnight is about 0, and then tomorrow a high of +2. So that is mild enough for us to see the transition from some wet, heavy snow to perhaps some rain. If it stays a snow, again, a slushy 5 centimeters is going to be possible on Wednesday. Almost dropped my clicker there. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're back into a little more in the way of sunshine, still some scattered flurries, and it looks like it's going to be chilly again Saturday and Sunday. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Maple Leafs were in action last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tavares, drop pass, Allen, out in front, it ricochets to Riley. He's in, and he scores!
Morgan Riley's first period goal turned out to be the game winner as the team got a big performance from goalie Dennis Hildeby. He made 29 saves to notch his first career NHL shutout as the Leafs won the game 2-0. The team will be back on the ice Thursday to play the San Jose Sharks.
The Raptors will be looking to snap a 3-game losing skid when they host the New York Knicks in the NBA Cup quarterfinals tonight.
15 minutes off of the bench. Ingram, the length.
The team is coming off a 121-113 loss to the Boston Celtics on Sunday. Tip-off for tonight's game is set for 8:30 at Scotiabank Arena. A loss would see the Raptors bounced from the NBA's in-season tournament.
The Blue Jays are set to introduce pitcher Dylan Cease at the winter meetings in Florida today. Cease will take part in a news conference at 3:30 p.m. The Jays signed Cease, who will turn 30 later this month, to a 7-year deal worth $210 million. And that's the largest free agent contract in franchise history. Cease pitched for the San Diego Padres for the past 2 seasons, placing 4th in the race for the National League Cy Young Award in 2024.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, flu season is ramping up across the country. We'll have more on the rising number of cases when we return. Ottawa is fast-tracking the path to permanent residence in Canada for foreign-trained physicians.
It's part of a push to connect more Canadians with primary care. CTV's Michael Couture has the details.
So here I am again, daily, looking for a doctor.
It's a frustrating routine for Joan Alexander. After donating a kidney 8 years ago, she needs regular doctor supervision. But she hasn't been able to find one since moving to Ottawa 4 months ago.
My biggest fear is that we will need some emergency care, and then that will be our only resource to go to an emergency room.
In an effort to bolster the number of doctors in this country, the federal government is opening a new system to fast-track permanent residency for doctors who are working in Canada.
Many of these doctors are already treating patients in our communities. We cannot afford to lose them.
The program creates an express entry category for international doctors with at least 1 year Canadian experience in an eligible occupation. The federal government is reserving 5,000 spots for provincially nominated doctors, and those healthcare workers will get expedited 14-day work permit processing. The measures come as a major national survey shows more Canadians have a family doctor or nurse practitioner compared to 3 years ago. 5.9 million Canadians still don't have primary care, but those that do struggle with getting a timely or urgent appointment.
Less than 50% reported being able to get that. So we still have a long way to go in terms of providing timely care and care when people need it, even for those who do have a family doctor.
The immigration minister says provinces and territories will be able to start nominating physicians for the Express Entry program in early 2026. Mike Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Nurses in Saskatchewan are speaking out against growing violence in the workplace.
CTV's Allison Bamford has more on their urgent call to action.
Inside this Saskatoon hospital, nurses say they've been threatened with knives, guns, needles, even an inert hand grenade. And just yesterday, someone walked in with a shank.
Nobody goes to work to risk their personal safety, and nobody should have to be asked to risk their personal safety.
Speaking at a press conference held by the Saskatchewan NDP, registered nurse Melissa McGilvery says she's losing co-workers who are too scared to go to work. She's joining calls from the official opposition to have metal detectors installed at the hospital.
People are crying every single day at work, and it's not right.
The breaking point for some came late last month when a psychiatric patient brought a sawed-off shotgun and 3 concealed knives into St. Paul's Hospital. A nurse described the incident in an anonymous letter written to the union, saying the patient used a knife to stab a window and threatened to sexually assault and kill one of the staff.
I encourage nurses, if you experience any kind of violence, we press charges now. Because people need to know it's not acceptable. It can't be normalized.
In addition to metal detectors and increased security, the Saskatchewan Union of Nurses says there needs to be a culture shift in the way nurses are viewed.
If you point a gun at a cop, you're going to jail. If you do it at a firefighter, it's the same thing. But if you do it to a nurse, they ask what we could have done differently. to de-escalate the situation.
The health authority says it's piloting weapons detectors at another Saskatoon hospital, which could lead to similar technology in more city ERs in the future. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Also on the health front, flu season is ramping up across the country, and health experts are urging people to get their vaccinations.
When we look at how good the vaccine is this year, I have to acknowledge that it's still really good. It's still the best we have, but one of the three components of the vaccine doesn't work as well as we'd like it to work. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. It still does. It still provides some protection, just not as much as we would like. And there's two other components of the vaccine that work very well. So still extremely important to get a flu shot.
According to the latest data from Health Canada, there were nearly 3,700 confirmed flu cases across the country in the week ending on November 29th. That's up from roughly 2,400 the week before.
Still to come, a new poll suggests parents are struggling to keep up with high costs during the holiday season. We'll have more on the data when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A new poll from RBC suggests parents are struggling to keep up with high costs during the holiday season. The poll found more than half of families reported their budget is too tight to purchase what they want for their kids. Meanwhile, nearly 50% say they felt pressure to buy more for their children than they can afford. Nearly all respondents indicated they're concerned about the cost of living increasing in the new year.
Canadian classic rock band Triumph will be hitting the road for a 50th anniversary tour. The band says next year's outing will mark their first tour in 30 years. Halifax rockers April Wine will also be taking part in the tour. They've announced 10 Canadian stops, including April 24th, right here in Toronto. Tickets go on sale Friday.
Coming up, Canadian-born twins are making Jeopardy history. We'll have more on the run of success on the game show when we come back. Canadian-born twins are making history with their performances on Jeopardy.
CTV's John Valley-Rao has more on the trivia skills that clearly run in the family.
We asked Ray Lalonde what it was like when he was first on Jeopardy back in 2023 and had a remarkable winning streak.
I won 13 games in a row.
It was something only about a dozen contestants had ever done in the 60-year history of the game. And now Ray and his brother making more Jeopardy history.
Honestly, it's a little surreal.
A medical physicist from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Ron Lalonde.
Surreal because that is Ray's twin who's been on the show this month.
And if our champion, Ron Lalonde, looks familiar to you, that's not just deja vu. You're thinking of his identical twin brother, Ray, who was also a Jeopardy champion.
The pair were raised in Thunder Bay and came from a family of 7 kids. Ron says they grew up watching Jeopardy long before Alex Trebek was the host.
My mother's a huge fan, and so we watched that pretty much every night in the old Art Fleming days back in the 70s.
The brothers have an amazing ability to remember trivia, and when Ray got on the show, Ron decided to keep trying himself to be a contestant.
And having the same kind of mind, I figured I'd do pretty well as well, so wanted to have that chance.
In the family.
Host Ken Jennings joking that Ron could in fact be Ray trying to get back on the show.
Is there a way to prove that you are not, in fact, Ray Lalonde, inventing a twin just to get a second crack at Jeopardy?
He's here.
He's here today. Hi, Ray.
Ray says it's been fun to see his brother compete.
My friends are calling me up going, I can't believe I almost thought that was you on TV again.
And while twins have been on Jeopardy before, Ron and Ray are the first to both win multiple games. And they say they have siblings that are even smarter.
Ron.
What a rocking chairs.
That's right.
Encouraging them to also try out for the show. John Valley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
How cool is
something?
that?
Medical physicists.
And siblings that are even smarter.
I mean,
they
you
are
can practice
so
with each other and learn from each other.
I think he's going to have a long run. That's really cool. Weather-wise, we've got the cool conditions, too. We've got the snow coming. Should we be concerned?
Well, I think we should just be concerned about the timing of it. It's not a lot of snow that we're expecting today, but again, it's going to arrive in time for many people hitting the roads in the afternoon. In fact, it looks like we're starting to see a little bit of snow fly here in the GTA at this hour, both out our window and on the satellite and radar. So you can maybe tell that this is a bit of a disorganized system. It's not a winter wallop, but it could bring us up to 2 centimeters of snow before the afternoon and early evening is finished. Then for mid-evening, we get a bit of a break, maybe some stray flurries. Overnight tonight, a second system is going to move in, the temperature holding at around 0. And then tomorrow, it gets a little bit mild. So +2 is the forecast high. With that temperature rising, it allows any snow that falls tomorrow to be the heavy, wet kind. Or we could see a changeover to some rain showers. So either way, it looks like your Wednesday morning could be a bit of a slushy mess. And yes, this is 2 commutes that are going to be impacted. Today's afternoon drive and then tomorrow morning's commute. The second half of your Wednesday is drier, but gusty winds are going to kick in. It's going to be a little chilly, and we could have lake effect flurries follow us through Thursday and perhaps returning again over the weekend. Notice how Saturday and Sunday are both looking quite cold once again. So that's a 7-day forecast, Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.